All 6 stages of listening are influenced by affectors. Those are emotional and intellectual biases that impact our ability to listen. They're things that affect the way we listen and what we hear. They can affect the way we interpret a message. They can affect the way that we understand the metaphors. They can cause us to misunderstand the message. Culture, lifestyle, attitudes, values, all of those things are effectors, and they have a direct influence on what we attend to, what we comprehend, how we evaluate communication, and what we choose to retain. Listening theorists have identified 4 different types of listening: appreciative listening, empathetic listening, comprehensive listening, and critical or deliberative listening. Appreciative listening is what you do for pleasure. It's entertainment. It helps you unwind, to escape, to relax. This is something you do purely for your own pleasure. Empathetic listening is what you do when you provide emotional support by listening. It serves a therapeutic function. It helps sometimes just to hear somebody out. It helps sometimes just to listen to them. People come to grips with their problems by talking about them. They work out solutions by sharing what's bothered them. And so whenever you take the time to listen, that's called empathetic listening. You're helping them. You use that a lot in interpersonal relationships. You use that a lot in close relationships. And you listen, and your listening is not necessarily for your benefit. It's for the benefit of the person talking, and it provides emotional support to them. Comprehensive listening is designed to get information. This is when you listen to retain something. This is what you do when you ask for directions. And when somebody gives you directions, you're listening with a critical or with a comprehensive idea. You're trying to retain what you're being told. Whenever you're listening to a presentation, or a speech, or a lecture in class, you attend to that presentation. You give it your attention because you're trying to understand what the professor is trying to get across. And then there is critical or deliberative listening. And this is the kind of listening where you make an evaluation, you make a decision. When you listen critically, you don't just comprehend the message, you judge the content of the message. You decide what's worth listening to and what is not. You decide what is valid and trustworthy and what is not. You decide whether to accept the message or reject the message. This goes beyond comprehensive listening. It goes beyond just understanding what's saying. It makes a distinction between fact and fiction. It makes a distinction between what I value and what I don't. This is listening at its highest level. This is critical listening. This is where you pass judgment on what you hear. And one of the traps when you're listening is that if we're not careful, we start formulating responses before we've ever even heard what the speaker is saying. The reason for that is that the average person speaks at a rate of 150 to 175 words per minute. But the average listener can comprehend about 400 to 500 words per minute. The difference between those two is called the speech-thought differential. And what happens is when you're listening to an argument, and you're listening to, or maybe you're engaged in a passionate discussion with someone, and they're explaining their point, your mind is able to process a whole lot more than just what they're saying, and all of a sudden you get caught up in formulating your response, and you get caught up in focusing on what you're going to say next, so much so that you can't even hear what they're saying. We take that extra time and we use it as a distraction. We begin to plan our response. We begin to plan what we're going to do. If you're going to be a good listener, then you need to take the time to listen, to endeavor to understand. Spend that time focusing on what the person's saying. If you want to help yourself, maybe spend that extra thought process that you have restating that person's idea in your mind. helping you will comprehend their argument better as you restate their argument to yourself. But if you're trying to formulate your response, if you're already debating with them and they're not done talking, then you're not going to get the message that they're trying to convey. That's not good listening.